Hi, I'm Lisa Logan. I'm a psychotherapist, been one for over 30 years. I'm a college instructor for over 20, I was, and was California's first automobile saleswoman. Have I said that to you before? I'm going to read this. I'm not going to go over all that stuff. That was fun. Was selling Chevrolets so long ago. uh, I want to point this out to you because I'm going to read a letter today to you that I got. Uh, when you read or write, you are in your adult child. You don't read, you can respond in your child ego state where your feelings are, or you can respond and say some things from your parent ego state that might be judgmental or that might be nurturing, but it comes factually from your adult ego state. That's important for you to know. I should have turned it. It keeps on feeling like it's crooked. Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay. Let's see. There I am. There you go. Oh, look. It got so much more colorful. And let me do my commercial. I've decided I'm going to do a commercial every day. I'll bring something different in. You're getting this same commercial today that I gave you last time. This is called Smart Speak, and it is a new approach to healing your painful relationship with your adult child. It's the best thing that has been put together for you and your adult child. I swear to you, that's true. If you can find something better, you tell me where it is, because I want to see it. This is great. How's that for being a good commercial person? As California's first automobile saleswoman, it ain't too shabby. I hope you laugh at that. Okay, look. Inside, I made this, and I have a company put it together, and it costs a lot of money for me to get them to put it together. However, what I do receive is enough to start paying for advertising. I want to do advertising, folks. I want to, everything that I get of all of you who come here to see what the videos are about comes from YouTube, where you're doing a search, and that's all. I no longer have, what did I spend, around $10,000 to get this started, and I no longer have money for advertising, so I made these things up, and I'll bring a different one in each day that I do. I'll do my commercial first, and then you can watch the video. Okay, look at all of these. This is not easy to do. All these things, they're all in different colors. That's for one session. This is for another session, because you have 3 sessions between you and your adult child. The 4th session is pretty much over here, and it's on large pieces of paper. And these are strips that I've had cut and printed first and then cut, and they ask a different question. There are about 25 to 30 of these for each session. You do it 4 times, and you answer these questions. You write on these cards. See? Can you see that? No. Do you see where there's room for you to check yes or no? And then what you would do with that card is you would pass it to your adult child, and he or she could read it. And they have passed their card, which is a different color, but it was pretty much the same question. Because your adult child has some different issues than you have, some of the questions are different, but they're all in order, and they're all ready for the 2 of you to sit down and work with. And you work together for about an hour, once a week, for 4 times, for 1 month. And also, this red strip that's been laminated says no complaining, no blaming, no explaining. Those are the only rules. And don't speak. I should put that down too, but it's okay. Don't speak. Don't speak. Because when the two of you have tried to talk to each other in the past, you've ended up in an argument. Or you've ended up being quiet and not saying a word. That's how I would have ended up. So, this keeps that from happening. And you're in your adult ego state as you write it. And you don't read it to your child. Your child reads it because you just gave it, you've met for coffee at Starbucks, and you give them the strip that you just filled out, and there are about 25 or 30 of them for each time the two of you get together, and they read it themselves. Now, this costs $25. The printer that I had do this said, you're not charging enough money. Well, what I want you to know is that I don't want to charge probably what this is worth, because that just seems to me like it's too much. I don't want any of you not to be able to do this. And you also have to pay the postage. Having said that, you also have to pay the postage because I need to make some money to do some advertising. Don't you want to be a part of the cause that helps to help people all over the country know about this? I got an email from a man in England, and what he said was, thank you for talking about Prince William and Prince Harry. We like that over here. I think sort of that's what he said. And if you're watching this video, forgive me, but I was pretty excited. He liked it that I had used the example. Okay, did you not watch the video that I talked about Prince Harry and Prince William? Let me tell you what I said. Oh, maybe I'll do it another time. I know what I said. I've said it for years. And by the way, I really loved Princess Di. My grandmother, who's no longer here, my grandmother adored her. And if I got my grandma a book about Princess Di, my grandma was happy for her present. That was her best present she received from anybody, was a book about Princess Di. She was great, my grandma. And anyway, look at, this is what I'm building up to. So you get, for $25 plus $7.80 for postage. That's how heavy this thing is. Probably what I should do is take all those out and just show it to you in a folder. But look. Let's see. There you go. There's a number on there right here. What this is a coupon for one free counseling session with Lisa Logan, who is the best counselor I know. And oh, Lisa, I'm being corny right now. You can have it for you alone. You can have it for you and your adult child, or you can give it to your adult child. Either one of the three, or you can give it to somebody else. That's up to you. It's yours. That is a $100 offer that I'm giving you for free. And people have said, what's wrong with you? You're giving it away. And I went, yes. But the reason is because I want to do everything I can to help you. I don't want you to end up hurting and crying every single day. You think I don't know? All I've done with all of this is to give you what I wished I had had when I went through all these phases and these years of hurt. Nobody should have to go through this. I love you. I don't mind spending my time and giving it to you. So you get a $125 item, I don't know what to call it, kit for $25 plus postage, not handling. I'm the handler. I give you that for free. But for postage only. It costs $7.80 to mail this. If you're in another country, it's going to go up. So I'm not sticking to that price. I have a letter I received yesterday, and I want to read it to you. This is a letter from a woman. I also received another letter this morning. Look, I'm just going to call my emails that I get from you letters, okay? Because they're letters. And you guys pour your heart out. You do. And sometimes I sit and cry. I don't want you to hurt that way. But there's a reason. We're all becoming nicer people because of this. I've always been compassionate. I'm way compassionate now. In a good way. But not an egotistical one. I'm the nicest person you're ever going to meet. No. Trust me, that ain't true. Geez, I just thought of the nicest person I ever knew. I don't think I'm going to tell you about her right now. Okay, so this mother sent this to me. I printed it out, and I'm not at all. This is a long thing. It's the length of the book. But what it was she had talked to her son-in-law's mother. Evidently they're friends. And at the end of her conversation, she said, by the way, you know your son did all this, don't you? And of course the mother-in-law, who was her daughter's mother-in-law. Are you understanding this? This is the letter from the mother who talked to the mother-in-law of her son-in-law. But it's her and her daughter. And I gave him the name, the son-in-law, Chuck. And I gave the daughter, Sally, I gave her that name. And 2 little boys are in here. The first little boy I'm calling Bobby. That's the firstborn. And Joshua is the secondborn. Okay. I want you to listen to this letter. And I want you to see how it fits for you. What she had done was she had said again to the mother-in-law who she's been friends with, by the way, you know your son started this. And, okay. Dear Chuck, this is her letter to him, her son-in-law. You're getting this note because I owe you an explanation. Oh, because then the mother-in-law, when they hung up, she and the mother-in-law, when they hung up, the mother-in-law, at some point during that daytime, called Chuck, her son, and said, do you know that Sally's mother is blaming you for what's happened? And okay, dear Chuck, you're getting this note because I owe you an explanation as to why I said to your mother that you started it. Your mother can't tell you because that's all I said to her. And Sally doesn't know because I've said very little to either of you about these years, what these years have been like for me. And the reason that she hasn't said much is because, like all of us, she was afraid that if she said too much, she would be banished from her family, and she didn't want that to happen. I've said very little to either of you about what these years have been like for me. Now I want to tell you because I think you'll understand that I'm not saying it because I need to blame you or let you think my failure is blamed on you. That's not written right. Neither is true. I think you'll come to understand that as I tell you how you started it, what I saw happen. And then I think you'll understand. Sorry, I'm not doing this real well. But here is one extra. I can't blame you, Chuck, for what you feared would happen if I were allowed to truly be a part of your family because you don't know me. That's very generous of her. That's me saying that. I'm editing this. It's very generous of her to say that. But the real pain comes from a judgment I do have the right to make. My daughter, who knows me well, made terrible judgments of me. That's been hard for me, and the only way I could bring any reason to it was to truly believe that her words came from you. Later on they didn't. They came from her. That hurts. Huh. Are you identifying with this? I'm also making sure that the red light is still on, because if it isn't, you're not hearing what I'm saying anymore. And then we have a 2-part session again. Okay. Nevertheless, it began the day Bobby, firstborn little son, was born. Sally and I were still close at that time. She asked me to be sure and be present for the birth of Bobby because she needed me. Please come, Mom. I need you to help me. I'm afraid. Were you afraid when you gave birth to your firstborn? I was. I was. I thought it was going to hurt. It did. We're not going to have any stories about giving birth. You can write to me, but I'm not going to read them. Maybe I will. God. Okay. Nevertheless, it began the day Bobby was born. Sally and I were still close at that time. She asked me to be sure and be present for the birth because she needed me. Please, Mom, come. I need you to help me. I'm afraid. Oh, that's where I was. I couldn't come, as you remember, because the weather was horrible. When I finally did get there, I guess it was about a week later, I apologized for not being there when I said I would. She got a strange look on her face and said, "It's okay." Chuck and I got close. And I said, "Well, I'm happy for you. That's the way it should be, honey." But the look on her face, it was different. And she looked away from me as she spoke because she didn't want to look at me. You're learning about body language as I'm reading her letter to you. You started it, Chuck. That was when you started it for you. By the way, it's very common for, with all the communication I've had with you, it's very common for when the first child is born, the estrangement begins. The parental estrangement begins. Actually, for me, it started when the baby was a week old. She's talking about herself now. I couldn't get there until then. It took days for all that weather to clear out. But when I arrived, it took 2 hours for you to come and pick me up. She said I was freezing. All you said was, though I didn't ask, I had to change the baby's diapers and get him fed. That's not normal. It doesn't take 2 hours, does it? And that took 2 hours? Today, I know that you were making a statement about my place, my new place, in your home. You didn't want me there, Chuck. So you took all the time you needed to take, and you started it. She writes good. She's a good writer. Again, listen to this too, because she's in her adult ego state as she's writing this. I don't hear any blaming going on. I do hear explaining, but she says that she's going to tell why she said to his mother, it was your son's fault. And from other things that she said in the letter, it caused a lot of problems when she told the truth, because I think she's right. The next month, I'm sort of editing this as I go along and trying to make sure that she's protected. The next month, I was back, but she went several times. I think she went once each week to see the baby and to help her daughter. Um, I was standing in front of where I sat, and you just came and took the baby out of my arms. You didn't say anything. You just took the baby. Okay. And you went into the next room, and you said some things to the baby. You said, because she heard him, "You are our son. No one else will ever love you the way your mother and I love you. You belong to us and not to anyone else. You will always be ours." What do you think Chuck was doing right then? He had a tiny baby that's a month old, and he took that baby and said those words. I believe she's telling the truth. What do you think? Why do you think he did that? What kind of a thing is that to say to a newborn baby, Chuck? It was so strange to listen to you. But today I know that your words weren't meant for him. It was you letting me know how it was going to be from then on. You started it, Chuck. You think Chuck started it? You're only hearing one side of the story. Maybe it was never okay for Bobby to be alone with me. Nothing was ever okay that I did, but I do have pictures of the two of us together, and he was having fun with me. He was laughing. Those are the only pictures I have of me with my family. I wish some had been taken of me with Josh. Josh is the second, and it was a son. Okay? But by then your discomfort with me had gotten larger. But you did that, Chuck. What do you think? Tell me what you think about a letter like this being sent. What do you think is going to happen? I'm now going to stop, and I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to mark where I stopped. And right here, there's lots more. But I'd like to hear from you. One of the things that I do miss is having us sit in a group over Skype or something. I can't ask you to do that because you're afraid of losing your family, of becoming estranged even more than you already are from your family. I don't blame you. Okay. If I didn't have such a penchant, a passion to help you, I would never have done this either. We put ourselves in jeopardy. So I promise you, fixed this so that it is not recognizable to the woman who sent it to me, will not be recognizable to her son-in-law or her daughter. But write to me and tell me what you think about Chuck having done this. Tell me your own experiences with this, and I'd like us to do that. And I'm going to end for today. I didn't know. I thought I'd go through the whole letter, but it doesn't feel like that's what's right to me. Feels like I ought to do this right now and tell you that I love you, because I do. And I thank you. Every one of you almost who writes to me tells me that you love me. Thank you. I need your love. I'm not shy about it. Yeah, it's brought me a measure of satisfaction, knowing that what I'm doing is helping. And that comes from the sincerity of the letters that you write back to me. If you want to write, I hope you do, you send it to FORSAKENPARENTS@gmail.com. You just go to Gmail and you you do it from your own email place. And my address is FORSAKENPARENTS@gmail.com. I love you lots, and I'll see you tomorrow or the next day. Okay. You write me things just as long as you want to. I don't mind something like this at all. We're going to learn a lot as we go through this entire letter. Thank you so much. Bye, babies.